every single shoot, we have an absurdometer. We basically, it's either 25, 50, 75, or 100.
Okay.
Mike and I usually obviously 100. Okay,
Right.
we'll dial it back.
Yeah.
But it is really helpful. So 25% is like the lowest we would go because we always need a little bit of absurdity in what we do. But we're really understanding there that like there's information. This is probably very informative and needs to convert or something like that.
Right.
And then dial it up to 50. I think we're sprinkling in a little bit more. There's probably some solid wardrobe going on. 75, you should really be pushing the limits and like props, wardrobe, even the action and the pose and what they're doing. And then at 100, like I'm okay with you not even quite sure understanding it's a sunglasses ad.
Right.
I'm actually like, as long as it's hilarious and you are inquisitively like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Pretty weird and funny.
Yeah, you'll probably still know it's a sunglasses ad.
Welcome to the Culture Goodr podcast with Stephen Leese and Shaun Tinney. This podcast is a behind the shades look at creating and changing culture inside of Goodr sunglasses. You can live with the status quo, you can challenge the status quo, or you can do what we do at Goodr and status the quo challenge.
All right, welcome everyone to a special episode of the Culture Goodr podcast. We are here today with Barret Bowman, who is the head of content here at Goodr, flock leader of the Department of Dreams and
Dreamboat Captain.
Love that too. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Barret.
So pumped. Thank you.
Cool. Well, so you have been at Goodr from day one of Photo One, yes?
Yeah.
Like making any content that was made for maybe the first 2-3 years.
Yeah, I do think technically some of the first photos like Steven or Carrie took themselves, but
sure.
we make sure to wipe those off.
Right. Yeah, those are gone. For all intents and purposes, you were there from the jump. Okay, cool.
Looked at those.
So what I want to talk about today is everything content, right? Like Goodr has some incredible content. We've gone to great lengths to make things as absurd and fun as possible, as inclusive as possible. And I know that you're a big part of bringing all that to life. So just want to kind of cover the range from beginning, just kind of like salad days, getting things started to, how we're doing things now. And yeah, cover the gamut. So what comes to mind for you as you think back on all this amazing content we've made?
Yeah, that's such what a long period of time to cover. And the amount that's happened. I guess it's not that long of time, 6 years or so. But yeah. I remember, Carrie and I, for the first few years there, like really just a tag team duo, just doing everything that we could. And, I remember stories from like, specifically, I was really, really excited about the 3D gold stars I made for the Kickstarter video. To this day, still remember that.
Yeah.
But I remember the Kickstarter video and like how thrilling that was to get that going. I remember being downtown LA with Carrie. We were trying to do, I think it was like this Viking themed shoot. And we had ordered a mace on Amazon and it came and it was like a real mace. Like
not like a hollow plastic.
No, it wasn't like plastic. And we were like, oh, I don't know. We're like, shouldn't be swinging this around in public. You know what I mean? Like things like that. We're like, we're just trying to make it happen, moving quickly, done is better than perfect. To like, even, like when we went to New York City to do some more travel shoots for the first time, but it was still just like Carrie with this like grandma cart, like stacked above her head of wardrobe and props. While I'm running out into the middle of Times Square, taking pictures of, I remember the watermelon pear there. My cat eyes are up here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then like, that's when I think we started to expand the team, because we were continuously growing. But that was probably in like 2017, I think, whenever Brittany started coming in and saving the day. And then she was calling us Dreams. And then we called ourselves the Department of Dreams. And then started to build a team from there, until, like slowly but surely added an editor, a producer. We had props and wardrobe full time for a period of time there. Yeah. And we've actually slowly drifted off a lot of the art department internal roles. And now we've got a team of 6 of us. Mm-hmm. We have an in-house production studio that we shoot a lot of stuff in. We hire a lot of others in the industry in the city to help us. And we're just still trying to flail around and do everything that Goodr needs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so what you just described is pretty unique, right? We've built our own internal content department. Yeah. Most companies probably don't do that. They would hire an agency or work with someone to hire other folks?
Yeah, it was something I fought about with Steven for like a while.
Yeah. Well, what was the fight? Like, which direction did you want to go?
So, like in the beginning, like I had a production partner, we had a production company, and like I was trying to go the traditional route and like grow, and like, Steven was really adamant to do it internally. He really wanted to build it in-house and maintain a lot of the control, and I'm so grateful that he stuck his ground, which we all know, obviously. Like, he was smarter than I was. Had a way better deal. And so 2019, early 2019 is when I finally joined like full-time with the intention to grow it internally.
Right.
And that was a huge mindset change for me as well.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing. It's been amazing. I've seen such a different side of how things could work. And one of the most awe-inspiring things is really getting to see all the other leaders at this company and the amazing people and the amazing flocks and how every little piece of this needs to come together for the sunglasses to sell and for this company to do well, but also for like us to even take pictures well. And like, we've had a lot of blunders in the past, like learning about how to be an in-house production company well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely want to get into some of those. But first, let's just step back and maybe you could share your philosophy as you've approached content for goodr.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starts with fun and authenticity.
Right.
That's at the forefront. But I think too, really like safety is this thing that's really important too. Like making people feel comfortable while they're on set, like making people feel like they can express themselves, be unabashedly themselves, even if it's behind the camera.
Yeah.
And so that has been, I think, the most like special thing that we've tapped into is realizing that like the environment and the experience of the shoot for the people working on that shoot is crucial. And if they're having a great time, like usually what you're seeing through that lens, like it's reflecting.
Yeah,
like,
it's real joy. Yeah. They're actually happy.
And so typically some of the best times I've had on set is usually some of the best material.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being on set with you, and I can say for sure, you made me feel super relaxed, and like we were just laughing back and forth, and like it's like, oh, this is how it happens. Like it's not just, you're not like, okay, taking pictures now. You're chatting and joking and then snapping the picture when it's ready.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate when everybody says yes and jumps in too. We're like, hey, you're going to be Mr. Clean today. Paper towels, baby. Let's go.
Right. I'm here for it. Dirty Mr. Clean.
Yeah, dude.
Nice. So how do you come up with these ideas, right? All the shoots are pretty wild. What's the behind the scenes process like there?
So amazingly, like we're transitioning a lot in the last couple of years. But we have this thing that we talked about. Eddie would always say, like we used to be a launch brand and now we're going to be a brand. But in the beginning, there was a launch. So everything that we were doing was focused around a pair of sunglasses. What is it? What's the concept? And what we're doing here, there's a concept. Like every pair has a very unique name. Yeah. There's sometimes like we used to do like pairs of 6s that would come out at a time. So that really helped us guide the creative. Like we would just be like, what are the names? What's the inspo and the theme of these? And that's what this shoot is.
Yeah.
And we still do that to this day. But now there's like this entire understanding of years of having this brand and the brand ethos and the brand voice that we now also focus on evergreen stuff. And that's a little more murky. It's like interesting to come up with creative there.
Yeah.
But usually the 4 Fs start there.
Right. Okay. How do you talk through those from a content perspective?
Yeah. So fun are the people, like we will look at that as the anchor of the piece visually, like, and this piece is for people who connect with how fun we are.
Right.
So really like all the other stuff, like doesn't matter as much. It might be important to talk about $25, but like these people care about how fun we are and the silly names. Then you've got fashionable. These people care about the colors, the models, the options, this, matching it with their kits and the amount of variety we have.
Sure.
And then,
a ton.
A ton, like 100 plus SKUs, like whenever,
Yeah.
And then shout out Greg, supply chain. But then we've got functional, and those are the people who really do focus on the no slip, no bounce, all polarized, all fun.
Yeah.
So, the all fun part, that's part of it. But they really are like, hey, when I run, these things don't fall off my face, and all the rest of the stuff, like, cool, you guys are cute and all, but like they work.
Right.
And so we do try to make content that focuses to those people, and then we obviously have the affordable people who are like, all that stuff's cool, but they're $25.
Exactly.
Like they're cheap.
So get two, lose one, and I'm not mad.
That's why I come back. And so we have content and material that we kind of try to make that focuses for them as well.
So every time you approach a shoot, you're thinking through each of those lenses, or at this point it's just kind of built in?
There's a few lenses. There's that, I think, as well. Like, what's the purpose? Like, we have this ICE. So we love acronyms.
Yes.
Love an acronym.
Yep.
Or made up words. So ICE is, inform, connect, convert, or entertain. I think I switched the C's.
More like icy.
Yeah, like icy. Yeah. But, we try to understand, like, what are we trying to do with this content as well? Like, where my dream world is, I wish everything that we could do was the fun entertainment pieces, right? Where like none of the other stuff's got to hit as hard, guys. Like, as long as this is fun and entertaining, like, and that is like the smallest amount of what we've typically done because we had a lot of purpose and initiative behind everything we were doing. And like, if you're just making a piece of content for funsies,
Yeah.
like that's, hopefully you're doing really well and you've created some space and time to do that. That's what we're trying to do now,
So when you're creating content, at first, it feels like you're just making as much as you could, and then whatever other departments, web departments, social, would like take what they could from what you made, right?
Yeah.
But I know over time that's evolved to more of like an agency mindset thing, where like you're here to serve each one of those teams as best you can.
Yeah. So historically, up until a few years ago, we would like go out and do this shoot, and like I would be like, "This, here you go."
Right? You're welcome.
You're welcome. Some good stuff in there. And sprinkled through, peruse, and then they're like, I'm spending a lot of time perusing. There's a lot of photos. So then we've made this transition like heavily. It's like really ingrained. We've got a lot of like production management help and coordinating going on, but really we're an internal agency for the rest of the company. It is quite simple. There's a request form that you can fill out, and anybody in the company can do it from any department, requesting us to make content for them for purposes and their needs. And like, that has been really cool. Like, at first it was like terrifying to be like, we're going to open the floodgates or just let people ask us for stuff. That's crazy. But it's been really awesome to see where the needs are. And then kind of try to investigate with them further, help everybody understand the process as well, and it obviously makes us more efficient. So we're not over delivering or under delivering, and we're getting better at it every day.
And as creatives, like, it's kind of fun to have someone present you with a challenge, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, that's what we're here for. This is our job, Like, honestly, a lot of the times it is like, well, what do we do? And like, I need an internal training video. Like, oh great. Well, what's the vibe? Like, what do you want it to? And I always love that investigative process, and then helping them find that vision and then show them what they asked for, and like, the flamboyance videos we made recently, I was super pumped about, because I was like, oh, okay. And then they get a welcome video, and like, oh, okay, cool. Like, we'll just do like puppeteering and stuff,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so the Dreams department is an interactive agency or a content creation agency for the company. If someone's listening that they want to work with an agency to create content, like, what are the kinds of things they need to think through to be a good client and to get a good product? Oh,
I love that. Purpose of the content that you're needing, like first and foremost, the why, like who it's for. And a lot of times too, like, I think people do know kind of what they want and say all of it, like be as clear and descriptive as possible, and be open to being surprised to a new way of being shown how to do something, or a new way to express what you're trying to express. But I think also don't be afraid to like state what needs to happen. What are the must-haves,
Sure. So like room for collaboration. Don't get so stuck on your vision that you can't see something else that.
Yeah, but also don't be like, make us a video.
Yeah, right.
It's got to be fun. Like, what
and make
is it though?
Viral and make it pop.
I oftentimes assume like, well, how long is it? Like, all the details possible. And I think as well, for us here, we understand this brand inherently because we're a part of it, and we've been a part of creating that voice and vision. So understanding that your agency has a voice and vision, and aligning with them so that you're with the right people, I think that's really important too.
Oh, right from the jump, even
from the get-go, before you start working. Yeah. I mean, that vetting process, getting along with those people, and like being able to, like, I don't know, you can hang out with them on the weekends, like that thing. I think that's really important.
Right. So
like,
budget lines up, but vibe check.
Yeah. Vibe check for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about making content under constraints. So, right, at first, we don't have a lot of money. We got big visions. How do you approach these projects?
One of the things that really helps us is that we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Uh-huh.
And so when you're silly and you don't take yourself so serious and you live in a world of comedy, I think production value actually can stay high with it being low.
Yeah.
You know, so if you need to make something happen on a boat, like, you know, that could be really difficult if you're trying to be extremely authentic and be like, well, it's got to be on a boat. It's got to be the specific type of boat and blah, blah, blah. But I think if you're not taking yourself so seriously and trying to be creative and simple and done is better than perfect, like, you know, early on, I think Steven just constantly saying that to me was really helpful in just getting things to the finish line. And sometimes we would do things cheaper or just like kind of shittier or just whatever. And you kind of look at it as a frame, you're like, that's funny. And also like, cut, done, got it, you know?
Nailed it.
So yeah.
Okay. And then there's like a midpoint, right? Before things are really humming and you've got budget that you can assign a year in advance to something. You're like in this middle zone. What does that middle tier feel like? As opposed to...
I think that like the being agile thing is really tough. So when deciding when to go big, like once we are like, okay, a year-long budget has to get spread thin as hell, like throughout the year. And then you have these requests coming in that you don't even know what's going to come in. And so I think it's always trying to keep the production value, like sort of just the aesthetic of the brand, like being able to kind of do like Between Two Ferns style or something.
Right.
It's kind of fun, or like just have a little tropical touch and we're good. Allows you to kind of just pump things out. Done is better than perfect. And then you're going to run into shoots where you are like, that really matters though.
Yeah.
Like if we just do that one thing well, like then it's worth it. And so sometimes picking the thing that you're going to splurge on.
Right.
Like, you know, it's the couch potato costume, you know,
it's going to tie it all together.
Yeah. And like, we're going to kind of ride on that. Or we're going to spend most of this budget on a slow motion camera that does this like higher frame rate because we really want the slow-mo like effect. But everything else and all the props are going to be like quite cheap and ridiculous. We're going to shoot it at the ranch, you know, or sometimes it's a location. You're like, if we just can pay for this place.
Yeah.
We're there and it does so much for us already that we just bring everything else low, keep the crew small, you know, and honestly, equipment nowadays, like so cheap and easy to get a hold of and it does amazing stuff. So that's not actually the question in my opinion. Like I think a lot of times people get caught up on the equipment.
Yeah.
Or really it's like cameras are cheap. Like the phone could crush actually.
Phone's doing
like,
great.
Yeah. If your idea is like solid, you obviously the lens choices and higher cameras like give you more variability, but like you might as well save some of that and get the confetti cannon.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And pay for the people to help you clean it up.
Clean up.
That's don't forget to clean up the confetti.
Yes.
Right. Don't forget that you have to.
Right.
Always forget.
Yeah. So you also created content tiers, right? Because moving away from constantly doing something for a launch, like this pair is coming out on this time of day and it's got this theme. Now it's like, well, we have all these pairs. Sometimes we're launching, some we're not. How do you approach that tiering system? That's
been so interesting because we've been doing the tiers system for years and it's always changing and adapting. You know, we had a small amount of tiers and then at one point we had a bunch and with this complicated list and then we're like, that's not helpful. And then we trimmed it back down.
Yeah.
And then it was always to help us for budgeting for the most part, right? That's why you're bringing it up. But like, really, we were like focusing on major expenses. So the major expenses are people, first and foremost, crew size and talent size. And then location is also this other thing that's like really and when you have the movie ranch, like our in-house studio, that made it a big difference for us. It was basically either this is on location or it's at the movie ranch.
Right.
And then we're like, are there people in it or are there not people in it, talent wise? So that's a big jump. If it's just Carl, like, you know, we're good to go. We got a bunch of Carls. Yeah. He never gets paid. It's awesome.
Exactly.
We can just abuse the living hell out of that guy.
It's working for shrimp.
Yeah. But he's also pretty great. He comes correct. You always know what to expect with Carl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then now we've got probably like 8 to 9 tiers and it's an exponential curve. Absolutely. The second you also add another day, yeah, it's a multiplier,
right?
You know, so if you have a decently sized set and then you're like, oh, we got to do 2 days, it's just boom, boom, that thing just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of what we look at is people and focusing on the people that are helping us and trying to pay fairly and do the right amount of hours for safe working conditions,
right?
Yada yada. And when you do that, you know, you're paying a little more too. And so now I think we really are like talking to creators a lot, asking them what they're comfortable with. Can they pull this off for that? Or can we do this a little bit differently so we don't have to go so crazy? And trying to get a lot of shoots off in this smaller range.
Yeah.
And knowing that if this piece of content, also where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is actually like, I got a good story on messing this up.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So sorcery spectacles is what I remember. This was a series of 6 pairs of sunglasses that were like magic themed. And we had this like tile house in the hills of LA that we found that was like so cool. It was like this castle. We're going to shoot there for like 2 days. And we had all these casts that we're making, poking fun at a lot of different magic and stuff. And like, we went for it on this shoot. We did video shoot, photo, multiple days shooting, this whole thing. It was such a blast. And they sold out of a couple pairs before the content was even.
Oh my God.
I remember one of the pairs was like super pumped about it. And they're like, yeah, these are sold out. And it was like, we had cadenced everything so that all 6 pairs of sunglasses come out at once, but the content would be staggered, and the stuff that was down the runway, like that stuff sold out. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, well, we only made like 500 of these. And I was like, what? And like, guarantee you, I tracked how much sunglasses are being launched with and things like that from that point on. Cause we were like, we went through so much, and we actually made a lot of mistakes on that shoot. I mean, we like changed the role of one of the characters and forgot to tell the talent.
Oops.
Yeah, he like showed up. He was so awesome about it. We're like, actually, you're playing Bon Jovi today. And he's like, cool.
All right. Here for it.
I'm wearing this. Right. Like, but yeah, that was like a huge realization that being connected with the rest of the company, also understanding the launch itself and how many pairs and what that cadence is and what the plan for the Internet Explorers is and stuff. And for activations and for media, and understanding that distribution plan really helps us go like, should we scale this or not?
Right.
Like, and sometimes you're like, oh, we're going big, but you know, this is still funny and like silly, you know, like if it's a promo or something. But when you know it's a media campaign, that's going to be like the awareness campaign. Yeah. You're actually also, that I think helps to be like, we should level up. This is evergreen content that's going to last a while and get seen by way more people. So distribution plan for sure. We didn't think about that like for a long time, the dumping images onto people. Now we're extremely intertwined. And when we see that there's a big distribution plan, we're kind of like, okay, we should like give it a little extra sauce. Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think that's the nature of a fast growing company, right? You're doing whatever you can to get through at first, and then you're starting to plug in with more departments and people and understanding, oh, okay, well, we're doing this for this reason. This content is going to live here and there for this long. We have this many pairs of glasses behind this, so we should invest more or less of our energy there. It's just kind of helped shape your department as we've grown. Yeah, and licensing as well. I think also you're like, you know, doing a partnership and it's like the best IP, you're like so pumped about it. But actually, some of the best IP you shouldn't touch. Like, you shouldn't even get close. They have a lot of like regulars. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. And in fact, if we do something quite simple and let the IP speak for itself, it's usually, you know, trying to find a middle ground there. But yeah, we've had stuff in the past. I mean, you know, where we go big on a licensing thing and we're really excited, and they're like, nah. And we're like, oh. They can do that. Okay, cool. That wasn't a week of our time. This is a collaboration. You know? Yeah. All right. Well, let's stick on some of the in the interest of owning our mistakes and learning from things. Like, can you just give any like foibles, lessons, things that you wish you could take again? Well, one of my, Steven too, I think Mike Eddie feels this way too. One of our favorite spots that we ever did was this bike anthem that we made with Mark Skids. And it's like a 2.5 minute piece that's a fake docu-style character piece on this guy, Mark Skids, who's like a fake ambassador for us, who wears like a disco ball helmet and stuff and like smokes crazy amounts of cigarettes and stuff, which like, even at that time, I was like, what? You can't run ads with cigarettes? Like, what? You know, it's in every shot.
Yeah.
He's chain smoking while he's riding, you know?
Would have been useful to know
yesterday. We made this like cool, like our own DIY like fan tunnel and stuff. And it was just super funny, but we made a lot of mistakes with that spot because of the length of it, but also like we were going ham on the super flies, like which even were an understandable mistake on just making those pairs in the first place. Like he's talked endless about that. But then we also were doing this like 70s thing, but it was also a sunglasses launch. So we were just like, what is this? Like most people would watch and be like, what was that? It was funny. Mark's Kids is funny, but they might not have even actually remembered goodr at the end of it.
Right.
You know, they were like, that was weird. Did he put disco balls in his eyes? So realizing that like, oh, like we can put all that effort in and make something that we're really proud of and think's really funny. But actually just, if it doesn't work for the brand, then like,
doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all.
So we have this concept of the absurdometer, right?
Yes.
That would be, maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Oh my God, how have I not mentioned the absurdometer?
It's
the most crucial tool we have. Every single shoot, we have an absurdometer. We basically, it's either 25, 50, 75, or 100.
Okay.
Mike and I usually like, obviously like 100. Okay, we'll dial it back.
Yeah.
But it is really helpful. So 25% is like the lowest we would go because we always need a little bit of absurdity in what we do. But we're really understanding there that like there's information. This is probably very informative and needs to convert or something like that.
Right.
And then dial it up to 50. I think we're sprinkling in a little bit more. There's probably some solid wardrobe going on. 75, you should really be pushing the limits and like props, wardrobe, even the action and the pose and what they're doing. And then at 100, like I'm okay with you not even quite sure understanding it's a sunglasses ad.
Right.
I'm actually like, as long as it's hilarious and you are inquisitively like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Pretty weird and funny.
Yeah, you'll probably still know it's a sunglasses ad, but you know.
By now.
That, yeah. And honestly, like when I talk to other creators, other filmmakers or photographers, I'm always harping on the or focusing on the absurdometer, you know, and trying to be very clear about that. And I know it sounds silly, but actually, you know, it's turned out to be really helpful.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it literally may be, the direction is silly. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. So we are also really focused on DEI here in general. Can you talk about the way that we've approached recruiting models and talent just over the years and how that plays into DEI?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's super inspiring with what goodr is like intertwined with what we're trying to do here with DEI. And we've always been really adamant about putting people in front of the lens from a huge array of backgrounds, but also I think behind the lens as well as on our crews, trying to diversify. But I remember the first time I got to direct someone who's deaf, and there was no like rhyme or reason or like being like, oh, we needed a deaf person. No, we're just like, this person is deaf and they're on the shoot and the translator and stuff. And I remember thinking like, he is listening to me so much better than some people who I can fully communicate with. Like, and it was so fun and inspiring to be like, this shouldn't get in the way of anything. Yeah. Someone being deaf, like, is just a part of who they are. And it shouldn't stop somebody from thinking, oh, that might be too difficult to work with them. And we call him back all the time.
Awesome.
You know? Yeah. Like, I love working with him. And like, it's fun to do that more and to, you know, work with people who, I think a lot of times what we try to do is like, okay, what's the typical casting choice we would make? Let's go in the other direction. Yeah. You know, just for that sake too. I'm totally okay with making that call and trying to also help people see regular, not just like super chiseled and painted people all the time. I remember even athletes and runners, like we would get non-runners to do shoots for sure. And they're like, I don't even, like, it's fine. Just throw your arms and, you know, like.
Is it this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Sure.
That can be a lot more difficult when it comes to talent on camera and lines and delivering lines, obviously. But even then, I think we're still constantly trying to look at everything. We have like data tracking to make sure we're doing a good spread. And then we also have our cast and crew coordinator really trying to make sure the behind the scenes gets like its ample spread as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not just a bunch of white dudes like me.
Right.
I know a lot of them.
I mean, we are two white dudes. podcasting about this right now. But I think we're doing our best to do our part to make it better for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being, the be unabashedly yourself unless you're an asshole is so important to everything that we do.
Agreed. Well, maybe could you talk a little bit about what it's been like for you to go from being essentially an independent contractor, like you're trying to run your own shop, right, to now you're running a whole team here. How have you grown as a person, as a leader, just as you've experienced all these shifts throughout the years?
Yeah. Managing people. Wow. Like something that I definitely, before I did it, was like, I'll crush that.
Yeah.
Like
easy.
Give me that leadership job.
Mm-hmm.
And now is something that I think is the most challenging thing I've ever done. And shockingly for me, so more difficult than any of the filmmaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't think that was going to be the case, but you realize, like you really care about these people and you care about the mission and the growth. And so, you're thinking about it a lot. There's a lot more challenges there. And I remember Stephen one time saying to me, that on a lot of the stuff we do, we can work the midnight oil, like burn the midnight oil, or like if you got to grind on an edit, you can do that, or stay a little later and like do a walking lunch. Sometimes we don't do that. We don't do the walking lunch. But with leadership, like you kind of get moments of opportunity to shine and like do it right or do the best you can. And then it's gone. And then you have to own your mistakes too and like keep building. And if you make progress backwards, like, now you're building back trust and things. And so it's been insanely inspiring. And also knowing that like, wow, this is just, no matter what happens here in a leadership role or in feedback given to me from my leadership, all of it helps me be a better director, because that's what directing is when you're on set and there's 50 plus people looking at you, asking you for answers and feedback consistently. I'm always like, oh, this is going to help me be a better creator, a better listener, a better client, like all those things. But it is so hard. And learning about how much time it takes has been a real challenge.
Yeah. What do you think the most valuable shift is that you've experienced personally?
Just shut up. Just shut up, dude. I mean, like I think I historically love talking, love being the center of attention. But I think a lot of times when I'm messing up, I'm reacting too early. Or I'm jumping on what I think is the answer, or I'm just going. I have no filter. Like, vulnerability is one of my core values, and like kind of just share it all.
Yeah.
But I think that like being more strategic and being a better listener and being calm, taking a back seat have all been like huge key learnings for me that I'm still working on.
Yeah. It's a practice.
But as I do it, I see the results and I'm like, wow, like more of that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today. Anything you feel like we missed or you want to circle back on?
Yeah, I kind of want to tell this story about the Snow G.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, because I think it connects to sort of like this moon moment for me. A moon moment being like, we did the whole NASA thing last year, like going to the moon. And so Hannah described a moon moment as like something you remember, this awe-inspiring moment that was like made it all like worth it for you in a way. And thinking back to Carrie and I being by ourselves, on the LA downtown streets, swinging a mace around, and zooming to years and years forward in this movie ranch over here, shooting the Snow G launch video. And we created an entire winter wonderland in the movie ranch in the middle of the summer to launch a snow goggle. And that sounded like a huge task. I kept the direction quite simple, but worked with just a bunch of talented people. And everybody came so correct. And I remember being on set that day and watching the fake snow fall and looking around and being like, I'm almost concerned it looks better, too good. Like way better than I thought. I was doing the janky like route of like painted backdrop, kind of like people will know it's fake. And everybody came so correct and we were having such a good time and things were coming to life. And things were being envisioned and the schedule was done right. And like, I just remember being like, this is what this is about. Like, and we hit all the notes for marketing too. I remember sometimes you're on set and you're having an amazing time. And then like afterwards they're like, what is this shot? Like, did you get any close-ups? And you're like, for sure. Okay, do that better. But we talked beforehand, like that whole rollout from beginning to end, from pre-production through production to post, like just really, I think for me embodied the in-house production company route that we're going is the right route. And that all of these connections we have within the company help make such an amazing piece, but we're still hiring and working with amazing creators in the industry. It was a culmination of everything I love about what I do.
Beautiful.
So,
well, speaking of that, like now, I believe we're calling it the Cove, right?
That's right.
We're opening up a whole new expansion of our production space and capacities.
Yeah. And, I had this note here too on like the scaling part with this company is one of the most challenging things. And like this opening up into a newer expanding studio space, like in another building from here, is something that I've kind of been like pipe dreaming for years, just constantly saying, hey, Steven, you can't,
Yeah.
And it's like, now it's happening. It's like, there's a lot of amazing opportunity. And I'm just so thrilled to be like, wow, we can be 5 days a week, cranking stuff out, multiple shoots at a time. And I'm so thrilled for what that can expand for everybody's creativity and not just mine, because another thing is like letting go. Like when you've done a lot of the for a few years there, like I had a lot of pride and ownership that every single image people were seeing, I hit that shutter.
Yeah.
And now, dude, I 2% of the pictures are probably something that have come from me hitting that shutter.
Right.
A lot of the video stuff, but it's going to continue to happen, and letting go, having a space like the Cove, and the trajectory that we have and all of the amazing people on the team, it just makes me so freaking excited to think about like what's going to happen. I'm going to be seeing content now from all of my collaborators that blow me away and inspire me. And I'm like, oh, get me in there. I want to make something like that.
Yeah. Amazing. It's a positive feedback loop. It's just going to keep growing.
Yeah. And then a little bit of that thing too, you're like, that's amazing. Oh man, that's really good. I now have to make something that good. So cool. Now I know. That's fun. Like,
half the time I get the feeling like I want to quit when I see something so good. I'm like, God, I could never do that. All right. I'll try.
Brittany and Duncan and John, like they had all whipped up the promo, the more you buy, the more you get off. And I remember watching that. I was like, this is funny. This is really funny. I kind of wish I made this. Like, and then I was like, oh, my team made this. We all made this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fun how that stoked either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there's a lot of exciting things ahead, and I'm really excited for you. But thank you for joining us here today to talk through everything we've got so far.
Dude, thanks for inviting me. Wow.
Of course, man. Prime guest.
I figured he just wanted my interview. Like, Barret, you talk too much. Get out of here.
Whatever, man. Awesome. So glad to have you. Thanks again for joining us.
Hell yeah.
And a boop boop.
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 Thanks for listening to the Culture Goodr podcast. To submit questions for the podcast, learn more about our culture, and learn how you can status the quote challenge, head over to goodr.com/culture. And don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you're listening, including on YouTube, where you can now watch all of our new episodes. Who knows? You might even catch a glimpse of Carl at our headquarters if he's not already passed out at the tiki bar from all the margaritas.